Happy Small Business Month and welcome to BBB Trust Talks. My name is Carla Laird. I'm the Manager for Community and Public Relations at BBB serving mainland BC. My co-host and event facilitator is Prerna Sharma, and she's our Marketing and Events Coordinator. You know, time certainly flies, as today we're already on the third episode of our limited interview series where we have a quick, intimate conversation with some of our accredited small business owners across the province. However, today we will be switching things around just a bit, as instead of chatting to the owner of the business we're highlighting today, we're going to be connecting with one of the key drivers behind their operations. So with that being said, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Dunja Celic, and she's the Sales and Marketing Director for EcoPlanet. Hi, Dunja. Welcome to BBB Trust Talks, and thanks for taking some time to chat with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So before we get into the magic behind EcoPlanet, and I love that you're in your office today, I wanted to start things off by asking you to share a bit about yourself with our viewers.
Sounds good. So my name is Dunja, and you actually pronounced it right, which is amazing. It doesn't happen very often. And I have been with EcoPlanet for just over a year now. And I've also worked previously as a manager as well. So I've had about 6 years of experience with that. And it's been an honor to be part of this company. I think it's really important that we understand our environment and how it impacts us every day.
Awesome. So, you know, we've heard countless stories from women across the world about their experience working and operating in business, and that the corporate world can be brutal, it can be challenging, it can be scary, and sometimes even lonely. So what has your experience been like working as one of the directors and leaders in the EcoPlanet team?
I think it's definitely a challenge, but it's something that I'm always up for. And I've had this with previous jobs as well. Being a woman sometimes is difficult, especially if you're working in a male-dominated industry. And I think it's really important to be confident in yourself. Sometimes you don't have all the answers, but that's okay. You can always find them. So I think being confident in yourself is a key to success, because you will find the answers, and every day is a learning curve. You're learning new things, whether it's about business or, you know, your everyday life. So I think it's just really important to make sure you're confident and you're always willing to learn.
Yes, I love that, definitely, especially in these times where we're being forced to adapt and, you know, take each day one step at a time. It's definitely good to have that mindset, you know, learning as you go along.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So since you just shared about your experience working in EcoPlanet, I think it's a great segue into learning more about the company as a whole. Now, as the Director of Sales and Marketing, I imagine that you and your team naturally have to focus on not just revenue building, but also sharing the EcoPlanet story in a way that connects with consumers. So could you tell us what's the story behind the birth of EcoPlanet?
So EcoPlanet has officially been in business since 2016. It ran actually as under a different name since 2001. So the owner, who's actually my father-in-law, so it's a small family business. We were all immigrants coming to the country, and he came here understanding that providing something to the community that we live in, such as eco-friendly solutions for our everyday living, was really important. So with that being said, he really took that to the next level by creating a company that is a part of our daily lives, whether it's in commercial or strata buildings. It's something that is done daily, and he provided the solutions and means to make that possible with the small company.
Absolutely. Your company is currently approaching its 5th year in business. So looking specifically at the products and services you offer, how would you say the company has evolved since it first started?
So I think evolving is huge in growing your business. When you first start off, there's obviously not as much revenue, and you are tied down to a certain amount of what you can do physically and financially. So I think over the years, Juro, the owner, has really learned, and of course myself and everybody that works here, how to adapt to changes such as the pandemic, and ways that we can incorporate new cleaning solutions for the community that we work in. We have changed many different solutions throughout the years, and we finally found one that is eco-friendly. It's got recyclable packaging, and it's really making that sustainability that we're trying to get towards possible for us. Even not just with solutions, but actual machinery and different types of tools that we use for cleaning, whether that's parquet power scrubbing or pressure washing. There's always new tools that can be purchased that are eco-friendly. So with the use of less water and so forth, there's so many examples. But I think it's important that throughout the years, you learn these things and you improve. So yes, it's been only 5 years with this company specifically, but even in those 5 years, so many things have changed and been incorporated into the company to make sure that we are servicing the community to the best of our ability.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And I know in the whole discussion about evolving, you know, COVID-19 was certainly one of the factors that forced businesses across the province to switch things around in order to stay afloat. So for the EcoPlanet family, how did your business pivot or adjust when the COVID-19 pandemic hit?
So it went a little bit of both ways. I think it's inevitable that every small business or any business really took a hit, especially during this pandemic. We definitely had to stop services at most, if not all of our commercial properties, as staff were no longer working and service was no longer needed. People were working from home, so we had to step away from those contracts, which was a hit not only on us financially, but also our staff, because they didn't have the jobs that were already there. They were now gone. But on the plus side, we've, been working really hard on making sure that disinfecting services have been offered, and that's a change that we've taken and incorporated into our daily routines. With the systems that we're using in the solutions, they are government approved for COVID, to fight against COVID, which I think is really important and great to present to customers. Everybody's looking for that right now, and it's important that we are safe in the communities that we live in and the spaces that we live in.
Yeah, absolutely. And one important question that keeps coming up in my conversations with consumers concerns the strategies businesses have actually implemented to keep them and their staff safe. So what steps have your business taken, especially since the nature of your service sometimes requires you to enter people's homes and even other workspaces?
So with that being said, we've always used gloves. They've always been nitrile. That was even before the pandemic. That was something that we just made sure that all our workers did, just not only for the safety of them, but for those that they were working around. We have new masks. They're actually reusable. So as everybody's seen, the unfortunate instances with people actually throwing away their masks and disposing them of the wrong way and getting caught on birds' feet, we decided to order EcoPlanet masks that are reusable and washable. So all our staff have these, which I think is really important because we can reuse them. And with that, we've been using that COVID-approved solution, which is, I have it here. This is the EcoPro. So it's really important that we're using this when we're cleaning and making sure that all the surfaces are actually cleaned properly. Yeah. In terms of going into people's homes, we have stepped away from doing carpet cleaning inside residents that are actually occupied, just for the safety of our staff and also those people that are living there. Again, it's just something that we've had to step away from during this pandemic. It is unfortunate, but in order to be safe, we have to make sure that we take all the necessary precautions.
Absolutely. So that particular solution that you were sharing with everyone, it's specifically for when you're cleaning, so it's not something that I could come to you and purchase?
We could definitely sell it to you, but yes, we use it in all the properties that we're using right now. There's a couple different ways of it, and I can kind of show you guys. There's different products. There's about 10 of them that we use regularly. It's right. The EcoPro system from Buckeye, and it comes in 2 different formats. So this is the format that I originally showed, and this is a squeeze and pour bottle. So it actually gets poured into these bottles and diluted with water. There is a little numbering system here for how many ounces you're using. So you just squeeze it and it fills up to where you need it to go. And then the other option is, because this is only used in properties that don't have a water access to the janitor room, for example, that would be used there. For those that do have water access, we actually use a dispensing system. So these bags are recyclable, and it's the same product, it's just packaged differently. Right. So it comes like this dial actually goes into a dispensing system, and you take off the actual spray nozzle, you dispense it, and it dilutes it automatically for you.
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, so for people like me that are terrible with measurements, then that would help to solve that problem.
It does help, and each of the bottles actually has all the directions on the back for you, and they're all labeled because every single one is used for something else. So in all of our properties, we actually have the EcoPro system displayed for all our employees in case they forget what's for what. It tells you what's for what and how to properly dispense all the solutions.
Yes.
That's great. I'm pretty sure you'll be getting 2 orders minimum from the both of us. So EcoPlanet has been, a BBB accredited business since 2017. I'd like to understand, why did your brand decide to start with trust?
I think it's important with any business to be able to have that with all of your clients. The owner, I believe the main reason that he wanted to be accredited is because of your guys' reputation. I think it's really important, and for public recognition. I think a lot of people do go to BBB to find things and find the information they need. So I think that's where his steps, started, and I'm so happy that we're part of it.
That's great to hear. One of the BBB's 8 standards of trust, focuses on being responsive to complaints. How does EcoPlanet deal with an unhappy or dissatisfied customers?
I think this is something that you deal with in any company. And I think it's really important that you get the customer satisfaction. Every situation and every problem is going to be different, and every solution is going to be different for that problem. So I think it's important to listen to the customer and their needs and find out what the best possible solution is for their needs. Like I said, everybody is different. Sometimes people are dissatisfied for something that another person was satisfied for. I just think you need to be able to take it into consideration, take a step back and actually evaluate the situation and what you can do as an individual to make sure that client is satisfied.
Yep, that's definitely a good takeaway, because generally speaking, from time to time, it's frustrating for, on the business side when you get a dissatisfied customer, sharing a negative feedback of some kind. But I love your approach, because it sounds like you guys, learn from it, treat everyone individually, try to address that individual concern. And then at the end of the day, it's likely to have, the customer saying, they try to approach me with care. They try to make sure that they address my concern. And at the end of the day, it's likely going to be a repeat customer in the end.
Exactly.
And sometimes you just need someone to, listen to you, right? So to have that.
It's not a complaint. It's just, you got to listen to people vent.
Absolutely. That's half the battle won.
Exactly.
COVID-19, sorry. COVID-19.
No, you can go ahead, Brenna.
Sorry there. COVID-19 has also, placed a spotlight on the importance of trust in the marketplace, right? So whether or not the company is for profit, consumers want to know that businesses will do their best to take care of them, like we just spoke about. Part of caring involves how businesses support the communities they operate in and serve as well. So how does EcoPlanet do this?
So in terms of giving back to the community, I know that Jiro himself has been giving donations to a specific, it's a Serbian dance folklore group that I've actually been a part of since I was 5 years old. And every year he gives a donation back to the community, which I think is huge. He also works with Sussex, and they do housing. So with that being said, sorry. With that being said, he does a donation for them for their multicultural days, which is awesome. And currently, we're working with our marketing team to do something for Halloween for the community. With everything going on and the normalcy of life being very different and how we're adapting to things, we can offer something to some of our clients as, a trick or treat for children, something that's safe, pre-packaged that, we're not touching, and give them some kind of excitement that they're always looking forward to, since I don't think this year people will be knocking so much on doors. But we can offer something in a lobby of a building, tongs so kids can, pick them up, and we can wear gloves and distribute it to them and make sure that they're having a good time.
Yes,
That
I love
sounds
that you're trying to
fun.
keep the chair going on despite everything that's going on.
Have
Yeah.
to try a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the new normal fun.
Yes. Another area of interest I found for many consumers is whether or not businesses are socially aware. Considering the last several weeks where there have been much conversation about race and discrimination and that kind of thing, how would you say EcoPlanet ensures diversity and inclusivity among staff and even customers?
I think for myself personally, and I can say this because I moved to Canada when I was really young, and understanding all the different cultures that live here, I think is awesome. I mean, I went to school with so many different, whether it was races or cultures, and getting to know them, I think was really interesting because you kind of pick away at things that they do that might be similar in your culture. And it was really nice to grow up like that. So I think now being an adult and working at EcoPlanet specifically, there is no discrimination, and there's no discrimination whether it's against age or any other factor. We have people that work for us that are 20, and we have people that work for us that are 60. And I think that's really important because age is just a number, just like culture is. It's just what it is. And that's, I think, important to make sure that we acknowledge for everybody. When people have different holidays that they need to take off because of their religion, I think it's important that we acknowledge it.
Absolutely. Yes, that's actually a good point, making sure that everyone feels appreciated and their cultures feel respected in the workplace. Very good. I'm happy to hear that. Another point that you had just discussed with Perna was about how your company gives back. But I also wanted to look at it at the other way around, which is, how people in the general public can actually support businesses. So why would you say it's important that people invest in and support BC's local small businesses?
I think it's important for the economy. I mean, we see what's going on today and how many people have had to shut down because there was not enough work, or people were laid off. So I think it's important for our community in the city that we live in the Lower Mainland, to support your local businesses, to keep them afloat, because at the end of the day, a business, for example, like EcoPlanet, it is small and it's a small family run business. It's what brings food on our table and a roof over our heads. And I think that's really important to understand, that yes, there's big conglomerates and big companies, but it's important to support local businesses too. And I try to do that myself by, even when I go grocery shopping, trying to go to a local store that somebody, has had in their family for years and support them.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, great values there, for an organization. So keeping that in mind, what makes EcoPlanet unique when compared to others in the industry?
I think being eco-friendly is kind of our thing, and always has been since 2001. It's been evolving, and especially in Vancouver, I can say, we live in a city where we're surrounded by greenery, and we want to make sure that our environment is sustained. I think it's important. We use it on the weekends. We use it during the week, whether it's for a run or a bike ride. So, we try and make sure that the things that we use and the solutions that I had showed you earlier are eco-friendly, because it's important in the spaces that we're using them. In a residential building, you can have somebody who's an elder who might be, sensitive to smells or touches to solutions, versus a child who might touch something and then put their hands in their mouth. It's important that we focus on those things, and EcoPlanet really strives. And it's not just with cleaning solutions. It goes beyond that. It goes into, the way that they do parquet power scrubbing, our techs. We use machines that use less water and create less dust and so forth. So it's all of the procedures, I think, are important for EcoPlanet. And that's what we're trying to make sure that our consumers and clients understand, where we're coming from and why we're pushing that forward. And it's for the benefit of them.
Yes, absolutely. Consumers are looking for companies that are environmentally focused. And I think that's a big sell point, especially for this industry that you're operating in. So yes, kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
So as we wind down the interview, I kind of wanted to switch gears to the part of the conversation where I like to say the nuggets of wisdom and advice start to come out. So, as a woman in business, leading a team and actively supporting the success of EcoPlanet, what are some tips you would give to young ladies just starting their own careers?
I've said it before, confidence is key. I worked as a manager in my previous job, and I led a team of 5 males. Starting off, it was difficult. People don't take you seriously, and it's frustrating. but you break that. And I think it's important to be confident in what you're saying and the decisions that you make. You'll make mistakes. I think everybody does, but it's important to learn from them and to make sure that the next time a situation comes that's similar, that you deal with it in the best way possible. At EcoPlanet as well, it was a challenge to start here and have people automatically have this girl show up and now she's my boss and taking care of all these things. So it's important to be confident and not stern, but confident. It's important that you show that side of you and that you know that what you're talking about, because you value the company and the importance of seeing it grow. So as a woman, I think people need to be confident in themselves. And if you doubt yourself, it's fine. Take a step back, evaluate the situation, believe in yourself, and be confident in your answers to anybody you speak to.
Yes.
I agree 100%. Yeah. Following up on Carla's last question, as someone who supports the sales and marketing strategies for a small business, what are some tips you would share to small business owners who may be struggling in this area?
Be honest. There's ways to learn, and I think any business owner has to understand the market. Do your research. And even for us, we are a small business, but we'll bid on big things that we know we may not get. But it's the experience of going through those steps that will get you there eventually. And we've done that multiple times this year where we're bidding against major companies, and we don't get it, and that's okay. And I think that's what you need to focus on. You can't beat yourself up on it. You can't win every bid and you can't get every client. But trying is what gets you there eventually. You're going to learn from those steps and those processes that took you, and eventually you'll get it.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, sharing the tips now for consumers, someone might be shopping around in your industry. What are some tips you'd share with that person right now?
As a consumer, if I put myself in their shoes and took myself away from the company, I would do my research. A lot of the times people, can say things, but they won't actually execute them. So it's important to do your research and understand what companies that you do want to do business with. Typically these contracts are anywhere between 1 year to 3 years. So being able to do business with that person for a long period of time is important as well. And I know because of the pandemic, it's a little bit more difficult to actually physically meet people, but doing Zoom calls is awesome too. It's all fine when it's an email or a phone call, but actually physically seeing the person is really important too. Relationships are important. So I know as a consumer, when I, shop for things myself, sometimes you get some kind of warmth by having a relationship with somebody. And even though they may not be the cheapest, you want to go with them anyway because you have some kind of connection. So do your research.
I agree. I mean, face-to-face interaction is always a different experience rather than online and virtual, right? So now that we spoke about some tips for consumers. Now, how can consumers get in touch with you about your products and services? Of course, there's your information and business profile on bbb.org. But apart from that, how can they get in touch with you?
So to get in touch with us, the best is to either call us. We have a social media as well. So whether that's Instagram or LinkedIn, Facebook as well. We're currently redoing our website. We do have our old one on there right now, but we should have that one launched in the near future. And we also have a bunch of landing pages. So I think those are really important because we've actually segregated them to be specific to individual jobs. So you can kind of get all your information on one page. And that's actually found on our Instagram. It's underneath our name that people can click and go straight there.
Great.
Yeah, awesome. I love that you're working on your website because based on everything that has changed because of the pandemic, people are gravitating to doing more e-commerce and they are visiting websites and looking for the information that they need there. So, that's also a very important takeaway for any other small business owner that's out there, work on your website. Now is the best time to get that side of your business up and running. Yeah.
Exactly. lot of people are at home now, so you have the time to sit there and, you know, focus on something that's important that can bring you business in the future.
Yes, I love that. So, you know, just like that, we have actually come to the end of another interesting and entertaining episode in our BBB Trust Talks series. Thanks again to Dunja, our special guest today, representing EcoPlanet, which is one of our BBB accredited businesses based in Burnaby, BC. They do serve, you know, outside of that area, so you can always reach out to them on social media through BBB's business profile for the company, or just even pick up the phone and give them a call to find out how they can get their services to wherever you are. So if you are a small business owner out there, a potential entrepreneur, even a woman in business, or you're just one of the many people who tuned in to our page today, we hope you learned something new and that you will join us next Tuesday for our next episode. So happy Thanksgiving when it comes, and we will see you again next week. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye, guys.
Bye.